If you're unhappy with the current state of Magic the Gathering right now, I have bad news for you. For the next 3 years, it's going to be getting progressively worse. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. What a fantastic time to be a Magic the Gathering player. I have to say, happiness and satisfaction ratings of Magic players are at an all-time high. We are all genuinely pleased with what's going on in the world of Magic, and there are no problems whatsoever. Now, all that lying out of the way, let's talk about what's really going on with Magic the Gathering. Because unfortunately, my friends, it looks like we're going to be locked into the same sort of awfulness that we've been in now for at least 3 more years, because everything that's going on with Magic, it's all symptoms of one thing that will be in effect for the next 3 years. Basically, what's going on here is this is tying back to Hasbro's announcements that they make. Like each year, there's sort of like business statement, whatever you want to call it, the annual reports, right? Things like that. So the information comes out, and basically Hasbro, for the last 2-ish years, basically it's a 5-year plan. What you need to understand is they have a 5-year plan. Now, I'm sorry if I'm a little scattered right now, but the dental stuff that's happened recently is actually messing with me today, so I'm a little bit out of it. I'll try and keep this concise so you understand what's going on. And if I seem more mopey than usual, it's the mouth thing. So the reports come out from Hasbro, right? They have a 5-year plan. Now, because of the way the reports are released, I'm not sure if we're in year 2, 3, or 2.5. I think we're somewhere between year 2 and 3 of the 5-year plan. This was just mentioned when Hasbro went over everything that happened in 2019 with that report. So basically it says in that report, last year we started whatever. So it's a little bit like, okay, are you saying you started this in like 2018? Regardless, the takeaway from this is that for the next 2 or 3 years, we're still going to be in the midst of Hasbro's plan. And that plan is to double how much money Wizards of the Coast makes altogether. So every product, everything across the board needs to pull in twice as much money as it was when this announcement was made. So either in 2018 or in 2019, they said, in 5 years, everything's going to make twice as much money. That's the scenario. And that's what's led to, honestly, I believe that this has probably started in 2018 and would be where we saw, you know, the master sets, the birth of the master sets. All of a sudden, they're coming out with sets that are far more expensive. And I mean like the theme master sets, not the original master set, because I know the master series was started way back in the day. But I mean, originally the master set felt more generous, and as it went along, like in 2018, that's when they're like, we're going to do multiple master sets a year, and they're not going to be tied to formats. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a big swing from format aligned sets and doing them twice as frequently. Changing them from format serving sets to theme serving sets was a big jump that ultimately failed and caused the entire master set to be shelved, although not for as long as expected, although we will get into that. So what you need to understand is virtually everything that's going on right now has to do with the new CEO who's been installed by Hasbro, and specifically this 5-year promise. So understand that the 5-year promise is actually way more of a problem than the new CEO for Wizards of the Coast, because the sad truth of the matter is, the way that it works is Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast is Hasbro's property. They can choose who to put in charge of it, right? So if the guy they put in charge of Magic isn't just focused on generating the additional revenue at any cost, then they're going to be replaced. So no matter who gets put into that position, they're going to take roughly the same approach of just get as much as we can. Like, this isn't focused on long-term growth. This is focused on immediate growth year over year to at least appear like you are hitting the goals that have been laid out for you by Hasbro, right? That's what's going on right now. So far, so good. The numbers are up because more cash is being extracted from us as part of the player base, right? They're charging us more for products. They're also putting out a dizzying array of products. All these different variations of products, collector's boosters. Now we've got set boosters. There's theme boosters. There's draft boosters. There's VIP boosters. And we have no indication that this is going to slow in any way, right? And we see this concept bleed into a number of aspects of Magic. It's not just the number of products, it's also how products function. So for example, the master sets that I mentioned before, they had Modern Masters where they were like, we're going to reprint a bunch of cards and we're going to put them in, like, we're going to say, here you go, we're helping Modern. But then they created Modern Horizons, which is we're going to create brand new cards and just dump them into the format in an attempt to create higher price singles. Also to that end, we're going to charge twice the cost for the set. Like, they charge twice the cost, essentially, for Modern Horizons boosters with no real explanation as to why it was priced like that. Like, when you look at the set, anybody who looks at it objectively will see that a lot of the artwork and things like that don't actually fit perfectly with the cards. And if you dig deeper, you can find comments from people who worked on the set talking about how they were essentially just using slush art. And slush art is artwork that's been set aside, and for any number of reasons. It could be the card the artwork was originally designed for doesn't exist anymore. It's not going to be used. Or it could be that the artwork turned in by the artist doesn't actually evoke the proper feeling, so they keep that art. It's still valuable, right? It still has a use. And generally what they'll do is they'll pull out a few pieces like that and they'll throw it in different sets. But Modern Horizons was literally like slush art the set. So they used a bunch of assets they had already paid for. They intentionally disrupted the Modern format and charged twice the price in an attempt just to keep the prices of the cards high, right? With no genuine justification. This is another cash grab. So it's another way, like, and some people will say all of Magic's a cash grab. Look, every company is going to try and generate revenue. That makes sense. Why do you run? You're not running a charity, right? But there's a difference between a normal level product and a blatant cash grab. And if something costs you less money to produce overall and you just decide to charge double for it, that's a cash grab. You know what I mean? Like the master sets, those are cash grabs. They're reprints. It's cards that Wizards has already designed. They're just selling you the same thing at a higher price point because people liked the cards so much before. They're like, well, secondary market, people are willing to pay a lot for these, so we'll just keep them at a certain scarcity, right? Like, all this stuff is being done intentionally. Far more attention is being paid to the secondary market where they can look at things and go, how do we extract as much value from this as possible? What do you think the secret layers were, right? Secret layers were birthed as a way to extract more money from the secondary market. And actually, maybe even underneath it all, the real purpose of them is to do what's happening right now, to sell functionally unique Magic cards that are tournament legal directly to the consumers at a very high price point, right? Like, that's secret layers for the amount of cards you get. That's an expensive product. And they've just done the Walking Dead secret. Everybody was up in arms about it. But the thing is, give it a month, nobody will be talking about it. We'll all be talking about other things. Like, if it even takes a month, all the different things that have happened, they just kind of fade away into memory. That's how it goes for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Especially if you just don't pay that much attention, you don't care that much, which is going to be a lot of the Magic player base. There are different levels of engagement in the Magic player base. The most engaged players who are constantly keeping up to date with what Wizards are doing are going to end up being the most confused and frustrated by what's going on. But it extends even further into other things, like just even the formats themselves, on top of creating sets where they're specifically feeding into formats. Where you go, we're going to try and disrupt it. You have Standard being warped from what it was, right? Standard used to be the flagship thing for Magic, where it was like, come on in, here's where you start. We're going to create a balanced environment where you can have fun and everything's going to be great, whatever, as balanced as it can be. Mistakes happen, whatever. And we used to give them the benefit of the doubt because bannings were infrequent and problem cards didn't pop up to the same degree because they had a philosophy of balance that was actually half decent. They did a pretty good job with it. Did they make mistakes? They certainly did. But at this point, we've reached a situation where they don't even do that anymore. They're not worried about balancing things. They're worried about flashy cards, big cards that splash way outside of standard. They're looking to make cards that will crush it in modern, make an appearance in modern, maybe vintage, definitely Commander. Definitely Commander. Commander has become a major focus for them, right? So as a result, standard is just like a dumpster fire. This isn't going to change. I actually saw, when I was browsing Reddit today, I saw somebody share a post from an interview with the CEO of Wizards of the Coast. And this, I think, might have been 2018 or whatever. But he specifically says he's totally fine with having a set where there's a few problem cards as long as the set overall does well. Now, that's me paraphrasing, but that's literally what he's talking about. And what do we have every set? There we have these few cards that are a huge problem. They don't do anything about them, and the sets continue to sell. Like, it's almost like directly just saying, yo, we're not going to ban the problem cards until we're done making money off them anyway. So it doesn't say it, but it's underneath, right? So we have all of these different... It's funny, actually. It just started raining outside. It's like the world is reflecting what's going on right now. You know what I mean? Like when you're playing a game and things get gloomy and it all starts raining and whatever. It's that kind of a vibe. It feels very fitting for what I'm talking about right now. But either way, we have all these layers where changes are being made, and it's all to push the bottom line upwards, right? And it's fine to want to grow your company. It's fine to want to grow your customer base. Let's say the plan to double the revenue for Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast was simply to double the customer base. That is a plan I can get behind. You're going to find ways to make it more appealing to a broader base. You're going to find ways to reach out to more people. You're going to make the game more inviting, more accessible, perhaps even slightly more affordable to draw in more people. But the unfortunate reality seems to be that the idea isn't to bring in more customers. If they can, great. Sure, why not? The idea really seems to be to take the existing customer base and extract as much money as humanly possible. Instead of going, let's double the customer base, it becomes, let's get twice as much money out of the existent customer base. And unless they've changed the way that they view their customers, the way that Wizards of the Coast, at least in the past, used to view their customers is on like a 2-year life cycle, okay? Now, obviously, if you have customers that only exist on a 2-year life cycle, they're not as important to you as customers that are going to be there for a decade, 2 decades, whatever else, right? So you've got a company that views its customers' lifespans as short. If you're halfway through your lifespan, you've only got a year left in the game, you're going to be replaced by somebody else. Like think of the way that a fast food restaurant treats its employees. They treat them just well enough that they're not going to outright quit, right? Like they don't treat them so awfully that they all quit right away. But at the same time, it doesn't matter if they get burnt out, fed up, and leave. It doesn't matter how much you take from them in return for how much like you give for them, or we give to them, I should say. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter what the relationship is between the two of you, because the employee is ultimately disposable. The fast food restaurant will remain, but the employee is disposable. And we as consumers have that sort of nature. That's what it feels like. And I'm someone who obviously has been a very long-term fan of Magic the Gathering. I've been with the game since 1994. Admittedly, I've taken breaks here or there, but I've always come back to the game. So I'm like a long-haul customer. I am not the normal consumer for Wizards of the Coast, at least from their perspective, but I do make up part of the customer base. Now, how it works is because of the rotating nature of the customer base, it doesn't matter that much how poorly you treat customers overall. Like there's a certain level where you're going too far and it's crazy. Like you need to show a certain level of at least respectful language or whatever. But let's be real. Like most Magic players at this point, if they're on a 2-year cycle, might not even remember a bunch of the older master sets. They might have no idea of what those master sets were, right? Like if your new customer base keeps coming in, whatever Magic is when they show up, that's normal to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, to use an example with myself, essentially, when I started playing Magic, everybody traded Magic cards. Yes, the store had singles, and yes, people would buy individual singles, but the majority, and I mean the large majority of cards moving around between people was done via trading. It was like 98% trading, 2% financial transactions. Like that was it. And slowly over time, it shifted. I remember this one guy who would come to the drafts who was like part of the new wave, where he would open his packs and he would never trade anything. He never wanted to trade with anybody. He just opened his stuff and he would just buy the cards that he wanted. He would never trade with anyone. And over time, more and more people just became buyers and sellers. And part of that is it's much, much easier to have a static outside number set. Let's say you like to use TCG Player. I guess actually, since I'm mentioning that, and I never really bring it up, if you didn't know, I have a TCG Player link in the description of my video. If you already buy your singles online, if you use that link, I actually get a cut. So it helps the channel from you doing what you're doing anyways. And now I don't normally bring that up, but regardless, whether you use TCG Player, one of the other well-known card pricing websites, whatever your go-to is, it gives you an agreed to, if not absolute, for the purposes of your trading, absolute prices to work with, right? And that makes things way, way easier for people. So, and as they move into that, just because it's easier, it also shifts the mentality more and more. As money trades hands with the Magic cards more and more, it turns Magic more into a commodity. So I watch that mentality happen. And everybody who comes into Magic now is like in that mentality of, why would you even play a card game if it wasn't worth money? And my brain just goes, we played this game for years, not because it's worth money. I've always played Magic because it's fun and I enjoy it. And yeah, I mean, sure, the cards having value is a nice benefit. Don't get me wrong. The fact that you can trade it for more Magic, trade it into a store for other stuff, you know, get some cash out of it. That's all great. I'm not against singles having value. It's just, it's an example of how much the mindset can change. I'm a weird dinosaur now. The way that I look at Magic is weird to almost all Magic players because of the fundamental shift. Generation after generation of new Magic players have joined the game, while old Grandpappy Perps in his rocking chair on the out on the porch with the little like wheat. What is it? Is it a piece of wheat or whatever they have like hanging out their mouth? In my day, Magic used to be a game. And just like, okay, Grandpa, you ready for your nap? I remember Mana Burn. Okay, come on now. Damage on the stack. Oh Lord, he's going crazy. You know what I'm talking about? So I get it. I'm old school. But the changes that had happened to Magic felt less drastic over time. We didn't have like anything that felt turbo accelerated like what's going on now, where it's just product after product after product after product after product, and all these different ways to just try and take as much money from us as possible and prioritize money to the point where it influences even bannings. It's like, make cards that are busted, who cares? Don't ban them because we get less money that way. It doesn't matter about the long-term health of the game because right now we're just in that 5-year cycle of double the profits of Wizards of the Coast. The guy in charge of this, right? The CEO of Wizards, he's not going to stay at Wizards forever. He's going to move on. And if he's accomplished his goal of, over the course of 5 years, I was able to double the profits of this entire corporation. Do you know how good that looks on a resume? Do you know how many companies will be tripping over themselves to try and install him as their CEO? Do you know how much money he will get? Do you know how many millions of dollars that this man stands to benefit by extracting from as much money from us as humanly possible? Think about it for a second. He has no incentive to do anything other than that. Anybody in his position, driven by the same motives, will do the same thing. It may not be the exact same execution, but the underlying drive will be the same. And the only way to extract that much money from the Magic customer base in such a short time frame is to just start yanking more and more money out of pre-existing customers. That's the only path I can see right now. And add on to the fact that this plan was put into motion before the world fell apart, right? And the way that corporations work, when Hasbro makes these promises, Hasbro's making them to their boss, right? Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, but the shareholders of Hasbro own Hasbro. And Hasbro has to keep kicking money up to them and making their value grow, or then the people in charge of Hasbro got the same way that the person in charge of Wizards of the Coast would got if they weren't pulling down the profits. So the shareholders have to get their money. And to me, corporations don't directly lie to their shareholders, but they put themselves in the absolute best position through omission or whatever else. So basically, the corporate position from Hasbro is going to be, we're still going to deliver on 100% increase, even with what's going on in the world. They're not going to allow Wizards to use that as an excuse, but if it doesn't come through, Hasbro will still get to use that as an excuse. They'll still go, well, the world fell apart. We tried everything we could, but the world fell apart, so we were unfortunately short of our goals. But Wizards of the Coast won't get that luxury. It's going to be, you will deliver. Now, if the world is falling apart and there's less money in people's pockets than there was when you started the plan, and that means there's less people who can join your game, what do you do then? You have to try and extract even more from your existing players. You have to make things more expensive. Try and extract more from them. Make the deals worse for them and better for you. Give them less and take more. And you have to do it with a higher level of frequency. To me, that's the only path I can see for them hitting that 5-year goal. And also, here's the thing. I'm probably just being optimistic when I say for the next 3 years. Because if this works, what do you think Hasbro is going to turn around and say to the shareholders next? You know what? We delivered on that plan. Let's do it again, right? There's no, okay, you know what? We've hit where we were going to go. Let's just stop. It doesn't work that way. It's an endless engine, and this money has to come from somewhere. It has to come from us, my friends. That's what it boils down to. So, I don't know. These are the thoughts that I was having on what Magic's going to be like for the next few years. We're going to see an increase in prices. We're going to see an increase in products, specifically higher end products. So we're going to see more secret layers. We're going to see secret layers that cost more money. We're probably going to see secret layers that impact formats other than Commander. I wouldn't even be surprised if they had the temerity to try and make modern legal secret layers, or if they really got crazy, desperate, and greedy, standard legal secret layers with unique cards you can only get in those secret layers, but that are legal in standard. I mean, if you look at it from the perspective of ultimate greed, people are going to buy you. You make them powerful, and people buy them. And if you ban them later, it doesn't matter because secret layer is a limited time thing. You already sold them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it sounds vicious, but I genuinely believe that you have to look at it from a vicious perspective because the corporation doesn't care about us, right? They care about, Wizards of the Coast cares about pleasing Hasbro. Hasbro cares about pleasing the shareholders. Did you hear you or I mentioned anywhere in that sequence? No. That's how relevant we are. We are the ATM. We are the bank machine. Now, I'm fine with Wizards continuing to make money off of me as long as I'm enjoying what's going on. But at the same time, this stuff needs to be talked about. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of stuff I'm just not buying anymore. It's too crazy. I got myself some Zendikar. I had a good time with it. I don't believe in like getting all rabid and like if you're done with Magic, cool, dude. I get it. You know what I mean? But just like, if you choose to stay engaged with the game, being frustrated is totally understandable. But letting yourself get too worked up over it to the point where you're foaming at the mouth and it's like carrying with you throughout your day, just remember, my friends, it is, at the end of the day, just a game. It is an amazing game. It's a game that I want to last forever, but it's a game you can live without. And there are tons of other games that you can play, right? So if you want to enjoy the game, enjoy the game. If you're frustrated and done with it, you know, do your thing. Put your cards to the side for a while, come back, pick them up later if you want, sell them off later, whatever. Just don't do anything like knee-jerk and emotional, because there's too much of that going on in the world of Magic right now anyways, man. I wanted to talk about this because it frustrates me, and I want everybody to be aware of what we're walking into. But remember, this is just going to be the ongoing normal for people. You know what I mean? 2 years from now, most of the Magic player base will be used to this. Secret layers will just have always been a part of Magic to them. You know what I mean? Endless array of products will have always been a thing for them. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much upset, like it doesn't matter how angry you get. It doesn't matter if you walk, really. You're just going to be replaced. So only walk if you're fully like, I'm done with the game. Trying to do it to send a message to Wizards, they won't see it. You know what I mean? So make sure it matters to you. if you want to be a part of the game, but you feel like you also want to send a message to Wizards, then I mean, do what we're all doing. Put your voice out there. Sometimes they listen, do whatever. You know what I mean? Some people are like, no, you have to get, don't listen to that. You don't have to get into that like angry energy and let it drag you down. If you still want to mess around with the game, you're allowed to. You're allowed to engage with things that have aspects you don't like about it. That's a lot of things in life. You know what I mean? Just think about how you look at like other games and stuff like that. Do you care that much about what the company does with the game? Would you go to war over all these different things? And if the answer is no, then ask yourself, is Magic really that much more special that it deserves that level of reaction? And remember, this is coming from a guy who plays Magic every day, talks about it, loves the game. It may not seem like it to some people because they see my videos and go, man, you're such a downer. You're a doomsayer and whatever. And it's like, dude, I'm just talking about it the way it is. When I see things I like, I talk about those too. I'm not here to try and make people angry, riled up, whatever. Literally what I'm trying to do is just talk about what's going on with Magic in hopefully an entertaining fashion. Give you something to do and chat about with what's going on in the world. But at the end of the day, remember, it's just a game. It's just a game, my friends. A game with a rich history that we can still enjoy. We can all still have fun with it. And yeah, that's about all I got to say. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe if you like what I'm doing. If you love what I'm doing, jump on my Patreon. I'm ahead off. Up on the screen is a link to an awesome lore video. You want to talk about some old school awesome Magic stuff? Go listen to this lore on my other channel. It's fantastic. You will not regret it. I will see you over there.